What's up, guys, and welcome back to the doctor's office. I am Dr. K. Knight, here to talk to you about the proper diagnosis and prognosis for everything comics and comic book characters. And y'all have absolutely no idea how excited I am for this particular video. So I know you guys, if you follow me on TikTok, y'all have heard me talk about Witchblade for the longest time. And at some point in time, I'm actually going to cover the Witchblade Laura Croft crossover that happened a while ago. I think in like 97, 98, something like that. It was a pretty long while ago. Anyway, so Image and Top Cow Comics have joined together to reboot Witchblade, and it came out on the 17th, and I am so excited for this series. Y'all have no idea. So essentially, again, it is a reboot. So to get started, we have Sarah Pezzini, who is at her desk, and she's talking about, I think she has one day until she dies. And with that being said, with that one day until she dies, she goes into, well, it actually, the whole story just goes into what led up to that conversation that she was having with her and with herself. And essentially, we go back to this doctor archaeologist who is at this dig site. He knows exactly what he is looking for. Okay, and he knows that once it is uncovered, it's going to go after the person that it is meant for, and they need to find out who that is for whichever reason. Again, this is a reboot. So just a little bit of background. If you've never read any of the Witchblade comics or seen the Witchblade anime, the Witchblade is a weapon. In the comic books, however, it cycles through different people, Sarah Pezzini being the most recent person. Now, there actually was a Witchblade holder. Her name is Kaylee, and she was in a crossover with Top Cow and Marvel because she ended up going up against Wolverine when at one point her and Wolverine seemed to be in kind of like a little relationship type situation. So she is one of the holders, one of my favorite holders, which they don't have a lot of information on her, but they give plenty in the story that she is in, is Queen Kajani. I have done a Queen Kajani video 3 or 4 times because I simply love her as a Witchblade wielder. And one Witchblade wielder far into the future, her name is Persephone. So only women are able to have and operate the Witchblade. And the Witchblade is technically the child of the Angelus and the Darkness, and it forms the Witchblade. However, again, only women are able to wield it. So there is no man who is able to wield it. So, continuing on in the story, we are at the dig site, and they have a woman there who is digging, and she ends up finding the Witchblade, and it kind of just looks like a small bracelet. It attaches itself to her. She starts attacking people. She runs away. They know for a fact that she is running away to make contact with other women so that they can make contact with the actual wielder of the Witchblade. This is literally just like Harry Potter. The wand chooses the wizard, the Witchblade chooses its user, okay? So the Witchblade knows to whom it's going, and so it's cycling through all of these women in order to get to Sarah. Now, before we get to Sarah, and really because this is a reboot, if you've never read any of it, you're not going to know that it's Sarah until it gets to Sarah. If you've never read any of the other Witchblades, you don't know who Sarah is. So Sarah is a police officer, and she joined the police department because her father was murdered, and it was, of course, dirty cops. So she goes through this whole entire story about what was going on. So when she was deployed, she was in the military, she was deployed, she got the call about her father, and it was because her father would not turn dirty and went to go turn dirty cops in, and they ended up killing him. So she decides to go into deep undercover by joining the police academy, becoming a detective and all that jazz, so that she can find out who it was that killed her father and bring them to her own kind of justice, right? So she does have two people that she trusts, that she's with all the time, and they know her mission and everything. So she actually ends up going undercover on a completely separate mission, and she goes to this place where she's meeting with these people. I think they're doing a drug deal. I can't really remember. You'll probably see it on the panel before I will. So, but anyway, she goes there. She's presenting herself as this one person, and they want to test her by having her kill someone who was kind of dipping into the product. Now that I say that, I'm pretty sure it's drugs. Anyway, so she has the gun in her hand, and while she is doing this, the doctor is chasing after the different women that the Witchblade is hooking up to try to get to its new user. And it attaches itself to a woman on a motorcycle. Now, Sarah does pull the trigger, but the gun either is a malfunctioning gun and got stuck, or it was never really loaded. Either way, I'm pretty sure she loads it, or they load it with the bullets and give it to her. On the spin, it's a revolver, but it doesn't fire. And of course, they're like, oh, this is a test, you know, can you forgive me? The guy is just like super happy that he wasn't getting killed. And as he's talking his shit to Sarah, the motorcycle comes in and takes that man's head off, and the Witchblade ends up attaching itself to Sarah. And from here, we see her transformation. She is essentially completely covered, which means she's pretty fucking powerful at this point. And she just attacks everybody. She does end up getting shot in the shoulder, but it doesn't too much affect her because it ends up healing. So she ends up killing all of them, and you know, her people come to her rescue, and Nottingham is actually up on the roof, and it's like, you know, I know who has the Witchblade. So now that she has the Witchblade, she does say in the beginning that in one whole day her body is not going to be her own anymore. We all know that I am a sucker for violence, so the violence in here, for it being the first issue, was light, but it was just enough for, if you are somebody who craves violence, to make you hungry for the next the next issue. I am very excited for this book in particular because I am a huge Witchblade fan. I am a fan of the comics. I am a fan of the anime. Again, I highly suggest reading the comics and watching the anime just so that you can see for yourself how quite a bit different they are while also being similar. Because when it comes to the anime, they're dealing in clones, and the clones are actually pretty fucking strong, but the Witchblade is quite a bit stronger. Now, I have done a lot of research on the comic book characters from Top Cow, because the comic book characters from Top Cow and the comic book characters from Aspen Comics, as well as the comic book characters from Valiant, I am very, very confident could go head to head with any of the characters in either DC or Marvel in terms of power, and it's simply just because of how they were written. And the Witchblade is one of those characters. I do not think that anyone in Marvel or DC would be able to handle the full power of a Witchblade user. And I will die on that hill every day. I truly feel that way, because if you know how the Witchblade works, and even in the Tales of the Witchblade and the Witchblade users stories where they tell you about these different users, each user has a unique way of using the Witchblade according to them as the person. When it comes to Queen Kajani, I would say that she's probably one of the most powerful people to use it. because of her imagination. And she was in a time where weapons weren't necessarily like they are today. But even still, the Witchblade is like your imagination. It does what you are thinking. So essentially it's like the Green Lantern ring, right? But a lot of it more dangerous. I would honestly put her against anybody that wields a ring. Anybody. Doesn't have to be a Green Lantern, doesn't have to be a Red Lantern or an Orange Lantern, doesn't have to be anybody. You know what I'm saying? But I honestly am really excited for this. I give this as an opening a 9 out of 10. The only reason I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 is because I crave violence. So I wish I had seen more. Like the way that the Witchblade was jumping from user to user, I don't believe, because it's a thinking thing, it can think, so I don't believe it really had any intention of killing the women users on its way to its actual wielder. But I feel like I would have enjoyed that, not necessarily them killing each other, but them fighting. But the person, of course, would be at a disadvantage because one of them has a Witchblade in one hand. So, you know, maybe that's just me. I don't know. I would have definitely loved to see just more, I guess. I don't know. I crave it, okay? But this story, I think, is going to be very, very fun. And the art is absolutely gorgeous. So I definitely can't wait. If you have not read it 100%, I feel like you should. If you're going to go to the comic book store, definitely get it. If you're not, readallcomics.com online for free. There you go. So that is it for this episode. And of course, I'll see you back here for another one. Bye.